Well, here we are once again, MMA fans. Another great night of UFC action. I'm going to do the 69 post-fight segment here, and just when you think you can sort of figure this stuff out, not happening. So let's get right to the post-fight undercards. The one undercard we did get to see was Luke Cuomo against Josh Bring the Pain Haynes. Cuomo dominated the fight, was able to really just pick apart Haynes on the feet throughout the first round, landed a huge left hook. I'm surprised he didn't go in for the kill after that. More of the same in the second until Cuomo just ends the fight with a huge straight right, just totally floored Haynes, and Haynes was so out of it to the point where he tackled the referee. So big win for Luke Cuomo coming off his previous loss of Jonathan Goulet. But on to the main event cards. Allen the Talent Blanchard against Kendall the Spider Grove. What can you say? Kendall looked like far and away a different fighter, even from the time we saw him against Ed Herman. Just obviously surrounding himself with team punishment and going to train in Randy Couture's gym has really paid dividends for this guy, because he looks like just a completely different fighter, conditioning wise, and just the versatility in his game now is just so much more vast. Both fighters go into the first round. Blanchard supposedly the better striker, but Kendall is really dictating the striking game, using his length and his reach to throw Blanchard off, using a nice push kick, nice straight jab, keeping Blanchard off balance. Blanchard looks unsure of what to do, goes in for some takedowns. Kendall's able to defend those. I believe Blanchard did secure one takedown, but really didn't do much with it. And Kendall was able to reverse position, get back to his feet, and was even working a nice clinch, looked pretty strong, throwing some knees. And both fighters going into the second round, Kendall looks like he's won the first round easily. More of the same, Kendall dictating the striking game, has Blanchard shooting in for takedowns. Blanchard wasn't able to secure anything. Kendall was able to rock Blanchard, then goes in for a takedown of his own, was able to secure a huge double leg slam, rain down some blows there, able to gain dominant position, and worked himself into side control, where he was able to secure a darce, which is a variation of an arm triangle from side control, and choke out Allen the Talent Blanchard and secure a huge win. Big win for him. He's going to be moving on to bigger and better things in the middleweight division now, so big win for Kendall Grove. On to the next fight we got to see. Hometown boy Mike Quick Swick against Yushin Okami. Okami, not really known by mainstream MMA fans, more so hardcore fans would know who Okami is. Obviously everybody knows who Mike Quick Swick is. Unanimous, overwhelming fan favorite in this fight. But really weird fight to watch. Swick really didn't know what to do with Okami. Was really trying to feel the fight out. Looked very unsure. Okami was keeping him off balance with a nice straight right. Kept circling. Swick was very leery of the takedowns. Okami was very strong in the clinch. Was able to secure some takedowns and keep Swick on his back, a place he really doesn't look like he likes to be. Was able to gain some dominant position and rain down some blows. I felt like there was a few premature stand-ups. Swick, I think, getting some hometown calls there, but more of the same in the second. Swick unsure of what to do. Okami shooting in for takedowns. Only point in the fight, Swick had Okami rocked at the end of the second. Felt that there was a little more time in the end of that second. Swick could have finished the fight, but both fighters ended up going to the third. Swick again still pawing, doesn't really let his hands go at all. Okami secures a takedown, is able to gain mount, and it looked like for a good minute and a half to almost 2 minutes was just raining down punches on Swick. Had Swick's back, was able to get mount again and just keep raining down punches, and I felt if Okami would have used a little bit more force with those punches, would have finished the fight. But the ref didn't stop the fight. The fight goes a unanimous decision Okami's way. Okami just totally dominated the fight pretty much, aside from the one point where he was rocked at the end of the second. Was almost had a Kimura secured at the end of the first, but didn't get it secured. and just had Swick totally off balance the whole fight. Big win for him. Looks like Swick's back to the drawing board. First loss in the UFC, and Okami now undefeated in the UFC, looking at a potential title shot now after Nate Marquardt or maybe Rich Franklin. On to the next fight we got to see, which was easily the fight of the night, maybe the best fight in UFC this year, maybe one of the top fights ever. Roger Huerta against Leonard Garcia, a fight I didn't even do predictions for. I feel like smacking myself for that now, because wow, these two guys went at it. It looked like an MMA version of Eric Morales versus Marco Antonio Barrera, because these guys just threw leather the whole fight. Just feel like Roger Huerta was just a little too big, too physical. His game was a little more refined than Leonard Garcia was, but this guy really showed up to fight. Leonard Garcia, give him a lot of credit, because he really took a beating from Roger Huerta and was able to weather some nasty shots, both in the stand-up and on the ground. Huerta was able to take him down at will because of his bigger size, and just rain down blows repeatedly and just be in dominant position all the time. And Garcia would scramble back to his feet. They'd get back and just go into some crazy exchanges, and really he tried to give as good as he got. And if he would add a little more power, a little more size, he maybe could have hurt Huerta a little more. But just an amazing fight. Both fighters showing a lot of mutual respect after the fight, which is a great thing to see in MMA. Definitely love to see these two guys fight again and fight other opponents in the UFC. I feel like Garcia's more of a blown-up 145er, but Huerta's obviously going to be moving on in the 155 division, probably fighting a better opponent in his next fight. But nevertheless, for those of you who saw it, what can I say? It was an amazing fight, easily the fight of the night. And now to obviously the most overhyped fight we've maybe ever saw in the UFC, Diego the Nightmare Sanchez against Josh Koscheck. Wow. What can I say about this fight, but except they pretty much come out in the first round, circle each other for the whole first round. Koscheck tries to work some high kicks. Diego just kind of pawing, just throwing lazy punches, really not trying to commit to anything. Koscheck constantly loading up with a big right hand and just catching Diego a few times, but was not able to rock him. Koscheck wins the first round. They both go into the second. Exact same thing. Koscheck constantly loading up with a big right hand. Connects a few times, doesn't really do anything. Diego just pawing, just not really doing much of anything, not shooting in for takedowns, not trying to clinch, not really committing to any of his shots. The third round, the crowd's booing most of the third rounds. More of the same. Koscheck just loading up with a big right. Diego just circling, just trying to connect with a right hook. Doesn't really do anything the whole fight, and unanimous decision victory for Josh Koscheck. He went for one takedown, was able to secure it at the end of the first, and the round was ending. Diego reversed position, and that was the only time Josh Koscheck went for a takedown the entire fight. And one of the most boring fights you'd ever want to see for a co-main event, and most overhyped fights, especially with all the so-called animosity and dislike between the two. It really didn't equal up to a really exciting fight that we all thought it was going to be. But looks like Diego's not going to be the number one contender for the welterweight title. Looks like Koscheck's moving on. Looks like his face is in the title picture now, so it's going to be interesting to see how this all shapes up. Now on to the main event of the evening. Matt the Terror Serra against George Rush St. Pierre. And if there was any more of a sure bet in the MMA world than this one, wow, I don't know what was. But a fight's a fight, and here we go. Both fighters come out. GSP trying to work a high kick, similar to what he did to Matt Hughes, the way he ended that fight. Serra looks very composed, working his low kicks, trying to throw some combinations. GSP throwing a nice jab, trying to keep the distance, use his range and his length to his advantage. Serra throws a crazy overhand bomb, catches GSP on the top of the head, more at the back of the head. kind of throws his equilibrium off a little bit. GSP stumbles, and in the course of stumbling back to his feet, Serra catches him with a nice right cross, and that's the shot that really put GSP in the twilight zone a little bit. And then GSP instantly shot in for a takedown. He knew he was hurt when that happened, and Serra was able to push off and get some distance where he could throw some more punches and put GSP on his back, and Serra mounted him and just finished the fight. Unbelievable finish to that fight, and just an unbelievable result. Couldn't imagine that in a million years. Matt Serra TKOing GSP, and now to become the new welterweight champion in the UFC. Just when you think you have this division figured out, with GSP finally winning the title from Matt Hughes in the way he did. Diego Sanchez coming up, he looks like he might have been the number one contender. Now he loses to Koscheck, so this division now again is just turned upside down. Like I said, just can't figure this game out. Just when you think you have a gauge on it, nights like this happen. So new welterweight champion Matt Serra, wow, unbelievable, huge win for him. It's definitely going to be intriguing to see what the UFC has planned for him next, because it's going to be interesting. Matt Hughes seemed very happy after the fight that Serra won. Potentially we could see those two in the cage together. That'd be interesting. Dana White tonight introducing Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, new heavyweight in the UFC, and for those of us who know who he is, he's definitely a threat. Not an easy guy to knock out, and I think near impossible to knock out, and definitely a great submission artist. So another threat in the heavyweight division. So it looks like a division that was once pretty thin for the UFC has become a lot thicker, with Heath Aaron, Crow Cop, Couture back now, Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, Fabricio Verdum. A thick division now for the heavyweights in the UFC. Gonna have Pride coming up here in the next hour and a half, so until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this segment. Another crazy night in the UFC. Until next time, you guys take care.